All right, Ciara says, in regards to the fall 2021 cycle, which LSAT do you think is the quote cutoff for the admissions cycle? The schools are going to lie to you and tell you, oh, take the May test and still apply for the same year. If I were controlling the purse strings, the last LSAT you would take would be this year. The last LSAT you would take would be August. I just don't really think you should be taking a test later than that and still trying to apply this cycle, unless you already have a good score on record and you're applying early and then you're retaking and you're going to show them a retaking score that you think is higher. Otherwise, if it was my money, I would always wait until the beginning of the next cycle. That's bad news that I deliver every single day of my entire life. Hate to break it to you, but if it were my money, that's the decision I would make. It's never any big deal to wait another year. Who cares? Harry, yeah, I really do think that if you're taking the November exam, you're just probably not going to get the best scholarship you can if you can't apply until December. You know, they're not going to be evaluating your application until probably January. And then by then, I mean, you'll be competing against people who already have their scholarships lined up. So don't be that person. I mean, you just don't want to play the game that way. I would always apply early in the cycle. Is that the same for PT programs? Physical therapy? Where's Ashley? Oh, part-time. Sorry. For part-time programs, probably. I just don't know that I've heard. I think part-time programs generally might give less scholarships. But I think probably if you want the full ride, you should probably apply earlier in the cycle. And you do want the full ride. I mean, don't pay for law school. I mean it. Just do not pay. Get a scholarship. Best way to get a scholarship is to apply at the beginning of September with an awesome LSAT score, apply to 20 schools and have them bidding on you. And I'm not making that up. That's what people do. That's what Matt Dumont did. Matt ended up taking the LSAT 5 times. That's one of our teachers. If you don't know Matt, you'll probably meet him soon. Matt's teaching now the Logic Games Basics classes a couple times a week. He's also a 1L at Maryland Law. He's going there for $0 because he took the LSAT 5 times. It meant that he had to wait another cycle for his applications. He applied early in the cycle. He applied to 20 something schools. He had a total of $1 million+ in scholarships offered to him. And he ended up taking the best full ride he could get, which was at Maryland, which I thought was extremely wise of him. He could have gone to a better school, but instead he went to the best school that would let him go for free. And that is what I would recommend all of you do. Yeah, I would always, Ashley, stay in touch with admissions committees. If you applied early and you're taking the test again, they do, if they look at your LSAC record, they will see that you're registered for an upcoming test. But there's always it's always good to just stay in touch with them about any material changes to your application. And the fact that you're taking the test again is, yeah, that's a totally professional reason to reach out and say, hey, I already applied, but I just wanted to let you know that I am taking the test in October. My practice test scores indicate that I can score higher. That's why I'm taking it again. Any questions about that? You know, whatever, just have a normal human conversation with them. You should be fine. Tips. Clint says, I've been focusing so much on LR and LG that my RC seems to be suffering, Besides doing timed RC sections more frequently, do you have any other tips? No, I just wouldn't neglect reading comp. I mean, if you've been doing like almost no reading comp, then it doesn't surprise me that your reading comp performance is going down. We will talk about reading comp tonight in class. I'll do story time for you later where I read you a passage, and I think you'll probably take a lot away from that. I want to point out, by the way, that I've been doing the story time now for a couple months, and we've built up a whole shit ton of these story times with me. They are in the, they're a little bit hard to find. They're under, let me find that for you right now. It's not under events, it's either under lessons or under strategies. It's under strategies, which I think is a new element in that navigation. So click the nav button on the left, go down to strategies, and then scroll down to reading comprehension where it says passage types, social sciences. If you click on that, there's now 7 passages, example passages of social science, and each one of those has a story time reading of the passage associated with it. Hopefully that's helpful. So it's not just for social sciences either. It's for the science passages and for the law passages and for all the other passages. You can click through and see literally dozens of the story time videos. I think those might help you for reading comp, Clint. Hunter, you've got what, 10 days until the August LSAT. I would just try to do a little bit every day, but not too much. The second you start to feel like you're burned out, or the second you start to feel like, maybe I should take a day off, you already should have taken a day off. You should be doing a sustainable amount of prep where you don't have that feeling of burnout ever at all, not even a little bit. And if you are starting to feel burnout, then you want to nip that in the bud right away, take a day off, and then try to come back the next day. The most important thing you can do in the last few days is take care of yourself. Sleep, diet, exercise, some time with friends and family. The stuff that's going to make it more likely that you get a better than average performance for you, instead of a, if you sleep too much, sleep not enough, drink too much, stress out about work, have a bunch of beef with your roommates and family, overwork yourself on LSAT stuff, it's more likely that you're going to score in the bottom half of your range. And so in the last few days before the test, the most important thing you can do is just do things that are going to make you be in the top half of your range. So less is more, a little bit every day. Stop scoring yourself, by the way. You don't need to be doing practice tests and scoring them right up until the very bitter end of your prep. It's totally fine if you let's say you took a test this weekend and you got a good score, good for you. That would be totally reasonable to say, okay, I'm going to end on that good one and not take any more scored tests for the final week or whatever until you sit for your official test. Hopefully that's helpful. Under past events, you certainly can watch all of the past live classes, including RC basics, LR basics, LG basics. Those are new things that we've added to the Demon in the past month or so. We've gotten really good feedback about those so far. Are we going to those? Taking advantage of the basics classes? Cool. My classes tend to be a little higher level, a little bit faster paced, but you can definitely go to those basics classes if you want something a little slower. Molly, that's not a dumb question. I do think that there are many people deferring because of the pandemic. I also think that there's probably going to be some last minute moving of the wait lists for that very same reason. I mean, the schools have to try to stay in business. But I would imagine that, yeah, this year's class is probably going to be a bit smaller than average, and imagine that a lot of those people might decide that they're ready, comfortable with the pandemic to start school in 2021. I mean, I fucking hope so, right? Who knows where we'll be a year from now, but hopefully we'll be making progress on the pandemic. Yeah, there could be a big rush of people going back to law school. There also, it could be a competitive cycle because of people getting laid off. The economic consequences have not yet fully realized themselves. And there could be people who are still struggling to find work a year from now. It could be even worse on that end a year from now. And if that's the case, then what happens, it happened in 2008 with the financial crisis. A bunch of people got laid off. A bunch of people decided to go hide out in law school for 3 years. That's a real bad reason, by the way, to go to law school. Please don't be that person. But that is a decision that a lot of people make. And so it could be a bumper crop of LSAT, of law school applicants next year. I really, it's just purely random speculation, though. I don't know. Charles, how much studying if you're preparing for a first take in January? Generally, 2 tests per week. So one section, do 4 sections, individual sections, and then a practice test on Saturday. Come to whatever classes fit with your schedule. Do some drilling, do some reviewing. I think all in, if you did 15 hours a week, maybe 20 hours a week, I think it's a little bit extreme to try to do much more than that. At a minimum, I think an hour a day, but somewhere 1 to 3 hours a day is probably the sweet spot.